The silence in the marble hallway was deafening as 12-year-old Emma Morrison sat motionless in her golden wheelchair, watching other children race past the towering windows of Morrison Industries headquarters. Her father's empire stretched 40 floors into the Manhattan sky, but she had never felt smaller. The specialists had been clear: a spinal muscular atrophy meant she would never walk, never run, never chase dreams on 2 feet like the children she envied from her penthouse prison. What Emma didn't know was that everything was about to change, thanks to a man who earned minimum wage and his son who saw miracles where others saw impossibility. Marcus Chen had been invisible for 3 years. At 5 a.m. sharp, he'd badge into Morrison Industries with his worn duffel bag, disappearing into service elevators while executives in $1,000 suits rode the express lifts to corner offices. His calloused hands cleaned what others took for granted: a pristine floors, spotless windows, gleaming conference tables where billion-dollar deals were struck. But Marcus carried something more valuable than money, an unshakable belief that every person mattered, regardless of their bank account or physical limitations. His 8-year-old son Danny often waited in the lobby after school, homework spread across a marble bench while his father finished his shift. Danny had cerebral palsy, his left leg shorter than his right, requiring a brace and creating a distinctive limp. But what Danny lacked in perfect mobility, he made up for with an enormous heart and an engineer's mind that constantly puzzled over how to make the world more accessible. The first time Danny noticed Emma was a Thursday evening in October. She sat alone by the 42nd floor windows, her nurses having stepped away for their dinner break. While other kids would have stared or whispered, Danny simply wheeled himself over in his father's borrowed office chair. "Cool wheels," he said, gesturing to her custom chair. "Mine are just plastic, but yours look like they could handle some serious speed." Emma blinked, unused to children speaking to her so casually. "They're medical grade," she replied stiffly, the way she'd been taught to respond to curious strangers. "Medical grade is even better," Danny grinned. "That means they're built to last." "I'm Danny, by the way. My dad cleans this place, and I'm working on some pretty cool inventions while I wait for him." Something in his genuine enthusiasm cracked the wall Emma had built around herself. "What kind of inventions?" Danny's eyes lit up as he pulled a notebook from his backpack, pages filled with detailed sketches of mobility devices, adaptive tools, and accessibility solutions. "See this? It's a walker that could help kids like us practice taking steps, even if our legs don't work perfectly. And this one's a standing frame that could help people strengthen their muscles safely." Emma stared at the drawings, her heart racing. Do you think someone like me could use something like that?" "Why couldn't you?" Danny asked matter-of-factly. "Your brain works fine, your arms work fine. Sometimes our legs just need a little extra help, that's all." From that day forward, their after-school meetings became sacred. Emma would finish her tutoring sessions and find Danny in the lobby or by the windows, always ready with new ideas or modifications to his designs. Marcus would smile whenever he found them together, his son's laughter echoing through halls that had never heard such joyful sounds. But it was Emma's father, billionaire tech mogul Robert Morrison, who remained oblivious to the friendship blossoming under his nose. Consumed with hostile takeovers and board meetings, he barely noticed his daughter's newfound spark, dismissing her excited chatter about Danny's inventions as childish fantasy. Everything changed the night Emma fell. Marcus was working late, buffing floors on the executive level, when he heard the crash from Robert Morrison's office. He found Emma on the floor beside her overturned wheelchair, reaching desperately for her emergency medication that had scattered across the carpet. Her father was in Tokyo, her nurses were off duty, and security was making rounds on lower floors. Without hesitation, Marcus gathered the medication, helped Emma back into her chair, and stayed with her until her breathing stabilized. As color returned to her pale cheeks, Emma whispered, "Please don't tell my father. He'll just hire more nurses, and I'll never get to see Danny again." Marcus nodded, understanding more than she realized. Sometimes the most important things in life happen when the important people aren't watching. That weekend, Marcus and Danny worked tirelessly in their small Queens apartment, transforming Danny's notebook sketches into reality. Using salvaged materials from construction sites and parts from broken appliances, they built something unprecedented, a supportive walking frame that could bear Emma's weight while allowing her legs to experience the motion of walking. Monday morning, they smuggled their creation into Morrison Industries piece by piece. When Emma saw the device assembled in an unused conference room, tears streamed down her face. "You built this for me?" "We built it together," Danny corrected. "I had the ideas, but Dad knew how to make them real. And it won't work without your courage." The first step was terrifying. Emma's legs, weak from years of disuse, trembled as the frame supported her weight. But Danny stood beside her, his own braced legs steady and sure. "I know it's scary," he said softly, "but brave isn't about not being afraid. Brave is about trying anyway." Inch by inch, step by trembling step, Emma Morrison walked for the first time in her life. The marble floors that had always been barriers became a pathway to possibility. Danny cheered with each movement, Marcus steadied the frame with gentle hands, and Emma discovered that her legs, while weak, still remembered how to dream of movement. They practiced in secret for weeks. Emma's strength grew, her confidence bloomed, and for the first time since her diagnosis, she began to believe in a future where limitations were just starting points for innovation. The day Robert Morrison discovered their secret was the day everything came full circle. He arrived at the office early to find his daughter taking careful steps across his executive conference room, supported by a device built from recycled parts and powered by pure determination. Marcus stood ready to assist, Danny offered encouragement, and Emma glowed with accomplishment. "What is the meaning of this?" Robert demanded, his voice echoing off the glass walls. Emma looked up, her face radiant with pride instead of the shame he expected. "Daddy, I'm walking." Danny and Marcus helped me walk. For a moment, the billionaire stood speechless. His daughter, who had been given a life sentence of immobility by the world's leading specialists, was taking steps. Not because of expensive treatments or cutting-edge technology, but because a janitor and his son had seen possibility where everyone else saw limitation. "The doctors said it was impossible," Robert whispered. "The doctors didn't meet Danny," Emma replied, her hand reaching out to squeeze her friend's fingers. "He doesn't see impossible. He just sees problems that need creative solutions." Robert Morrison looked at Marcus. Chino really looked at Hema for the first time in 3 years. He saw gentle hands that had not only cleaned his building but had helped rebuild his daughter's hope. He saw a single father who worked multiple jobs but still found time to encourage his son's wild inventions. He saw a man who had given his family a priceless gift without expecting anything in return. 6 months later, Morrison Industries announced the launch of the Chen Foundation for Adaptive Innovation, with Danny as its youngest chief consultant and Marcus as its director of community outreach. Emma continued her walking therapy, each step a testament to the power of believing in each other. And in the lobby of Morrison Industries, a new plaque appeared beside the elevator. Miracles happen when we see ability instead of disability, and possibility instead of limitations. Danny Chen had taught a billionaire's daughter to walk. But more importantly, he had taught her father to really see the extraordinary potential that exists in ordinary people who refuse to accept that dreams are impossible. Sometimes the smallest steps lead to the greatest journeys, and sometimes the most profound changes come from the most unlikely friendships. In a world obsessed with wealth and status, a minimum wage janitor and his son proved that the richest treasures are kindness, creativity, and the courage to believe in each other.